Welcome to TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG, your favourite Formula 1 podcast produced by a British biased bloke with a massive Swede full of very questionable wheel knowledge. Broadcast live on YouTube and after the fact on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have a good old natter about each and every Grand Prix of the season. My name's Tommo, let's talk about it. Well, I was not expecting to go live today, but here we are. Breaking news, this is not a drill, the title is not a lie. Christian Horner has been relieved of his duties as team principal at Red Bull Racing. And I'm wearing my lovely Oracle Red Bull Racing Sim Racing shirt from the team. Lovely bit of kit this. Wow. Like, I gotta say, I'd seen reports, I want to say maybe a couple of weeks ago, there'd been some reports, I believe, I could be wrong here, I think it was Dutch media, some reports about maybe, some pressure on Christian from the Verstappen camp, and I don't know, it all just felt a bit like hearsay and just chatter, whatever. And then all of a sudden the bomb has dropped, as Eric Van Halen, who I saw first, report it on Twitter. Christian's gone. He's been dropped. He's out of the door. It's crazy. 20 years at the helm since that team rebranded from Jaguar to Red Bull in 2005, wasn't it? The first car, the RB1, 2005? I should know this, shouldn't I? But 5 or 6. It was 5, wasn't it? I'm sure it was 5. And wow. Okay, this is kind of crazy. You got to look at Red Bull. Christian, Jonathan Wheatley, Rob Marshall, Adrian Newey. This is now... There is a somewhat clearing of house seemingly going on since, the peaks of Red Bull in the Grand Effect era. A lot of people have moved to pastures new. But for Christian to move, that's a big decision. That's a board decision. Obviously, you've got the Uvidja, the tyre-owned side of the business. You've got Oliver Mintzlaff and the Austrian side of the business. You've got the shareholders involved, and they have come to the conclusion that Christian Horner is no longer the right person to be leading this team, and he is replaced by Laurent Mekies, who makes the move up from the junior team to the senior team. Turns out it's not only with drivers that which does kind of check out, right? That there's kind of all the focus is on, you use the junior team to test your young drivers, young talent, to give them opportunities at the bigger team eventually. But that also goes for pit crew, strategists, engineers, and team principals, apparently. Now, Laurent Mekies obviously made the move over from Ferrari to Racing Bull's start of last year, wasn't it? I can't even remember off the top of my head. How long has he been in that position for? Not too long in the grand scheme of things. And all of a sudden, they've given him the key to the big job. And Uzer, who's replacing Mekies at Racing Bulls, Alan Permain, who was unceremoniously dropped from Alpine, having been a very, very loyal servant to the Enstone-based team for so many years. He was given the opportunity to come in at Racing Bulls. I can't remember the exact job title he's had to date with Racing Bulls, but he has been offered and accepted the opportunity to be team principal at Racing Bulls, which I'm hugely happy for Alan on that front, because I've only ever heard good things about the bloke. And again, for him to have been let go by Alpine in the way he was, would have been such a loyal servant to that team, to now be team principal at Racing Bulls is pretty cool. So, yeah, this is, wow, this is some news. And before anyone says, did I have any prior into it? No, I had absolutely no prior into it. I was on Twitter this morning. I saw Eric Van Halen tweet in Dutch, had to do translate post, screenshotted it and was like, what the hell is this? Has he been hacked? And then the Telegraph, and then plenty of other news sources started jumping on it. And it was like, okay, so it is real. Wow, this is crazy. Christian's out. Shall we have a little look? Let's have a little look on Twitter. I've seen a few of you super chat. I will get on to super chats in a bit. I just want to cover the meat and bones of the story. And I want to start with everyone's favourite F1 journalist. He's certainly out there for me. I don't have favourites because I can't I can't nail my flag to the mast straight away. But Chris Medland, go on, Chris. What a guy. Confirmed. Red Bull have sacked Christian Horner, replacing him with Laurent Mekies. Alan Permain as team principal. Mekies head to Red Bull. And then got a quote from Oliver Mintzlaff here. We'd like to thank Christian for his exceptional work. I'm going to do that to get rid of the ad. Exceptional work over the last 20 years with his tireless good reason. I think we're back. This is what it does. This is how it works with these streams. We just get a random disconnect for no good reason halfway through. Got the Autosport article up here, which I imagine they're going to be kind of live updating. Yeah, Horner removed as Red Bull team boss after 20 years at the helm. Crazy. Replaced by Laurent Mekies. Paid the price for general downturn in the squad over the past 18 months, which, you know, objectively is true, right? That they are quite comfortably now P4. And it doesn't look like Red Bull are going to finish any higher than P4 in the Constructors, which for a team of this recent success of Red Bull Racing is not good enough. Anyone watching on Apple Podcasts, Spotify after the fact won't have to worry about these disconnections that are just randomly happening for no clear and obvious reasons. But here we go. New engine. I don't know. It's just right. Here we go. Racing Bull's press release confirming its personnel changes. Last year and a half has been an absolute privilege to lead the team with Peter. It's been an amazing event. Peter, why is my internet doing this? Honestly, what are we doing? Why? There's no good reason it should be doing this. It's just in and out. Shake it all about. No okie dokie, honestly. What is this going on? He knows the team inside out and has always been an important pillar of our early success. Feel very honoured to take on the team principal role. And thank you to Oliver Mintzlaff and Helmut Marko for the trust they have shown in me. Interesting, that Helmut, because of course Helmut remains. Well, there's no word on Helmut, so there's no reason to believe that Helmut does not remain anyway. And we know obviously Helmut is very much aligned with the Verstappen camp, the Austrian side of Red Bull. Wow. Crazy news. Crazy breaking news. I mean, look, I guess what we can do here, first of all, kind of what's next for Christian is a very good question, because of course we've seen team principals over the years. Hang on, let me God, I'm having a bad time here, chat. I'm having a bad time here. This is not on. Right, could he go to Ferrari? Perhaps. I don't think we'll see Christian doing anything. I don't think there's going to be an immediate change. You know, to be at one team for 20 years and that your entire, you know, it was Arden before, right? The junior team that Christian set up. That was his experience prior to F1. He came in super young, has done objectively, right? Objectively has done a very, very good job. Has won many, many titles. Obviously, all of them with Vettel, all of them with Max. Even when Mercedes were dominant, it was the engine really, and you know, mechanically, the Red Bull racing car was good enough to win races. We saw the Red Bull often win at tracks like Mexico, where the engine deficiency was less of a problem for the team. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I guess he will take some time away. I think, having not experienced any other team, I would maybe question, to go from 20 years at just one place. It'd be like, when Alex Ferguson was manager at Man United. If he'd gone and managed at another team, would it have been the same? I don't know. It's a lot. And obviously Ferrari, which is the team he has been linked to, is kind of chaos, right? It's kind of chaos over there. Top management interfere a lot, which is what Red Bull seemingly haven't done. They've seemingly very much let Christian kind of do his thing, do what needs to be done, and there's not been too much oversight. Obviously, when Dietrich, started the team, he very much entrusted Christian, and there seemed to be this kind of very mutually beneficial relationship between team principal and kind of senior management. But, all good things have got to come to an end, right? And you feel like maybe, yeah, with Red Bull's slip, with a lot of senior members of staff, top talent deciding to move elsewhere, perhaps now is the right time for Red Bull to, again, kind of clean house, for want of a better term, and start anew, start afresh. Now, obviously, does this tie into Max? Who knows, right? Who knows? Who is this a last ditch? I mean, so what a lot of people are saying is this a last ditch attempt to try and convince Max to stay? Obviously, we know that Jos Verstappen, was calling for Christian to be let go because of the chaos that it would create. Obviously, after all of the kind of scandal that came out, you have that. You have the scandal, you have all of the senior people leaving, you have Max being linked so openly with Mercedes, and you have them, that consistent second seat not being there in terms of performance. Yeah, I think you look at it from that point of view, and you're like, yeah, you can kind of understand why maybe a decision needed to be made to let Christian go. It's kind of crazy. It's mad to think like Laurent Mekies is going to look so strange in those Red Bull garms. But look, I think for all intents and purposes, he's done a good job. It's hard to really analyze Laurent Mekies as a team principal on how he's done so far because of that team's very unique position where they are very beholden and reliant on Red Bull, and it is a junior team, and there is crossover in terms of staff and personnel. Not enough crossover for it to not be legal in the eyes of the FIA, but there is that connection there. And more than any other team, the performance of the Racing Bulls is reliant on Red Bull Racing. Although they produce a car where Yuki certainly, and I would say Liam as well, absolutely are able to be quicker racing drivers in the V-Carb than they can be in the Red Bull. And again, that all kind of plays into it, right? You see now a fifth driver going through this cycle, and it's like, it's not a great look for Red Bull, really. Like, yes, Max is doing bits, but even he is still now, struggling. He's not really in this driver's title fight anymore. He hasn't been able to, as good as he is, he's not been able to mask over all the cracks. And now we're in a position that, it's all changed. But I'm happy for Laurent. He seems like a very, very sound bloke. And we'll say, I mean, I bet he didn't when he left Ferrari to join Racing Bulls, and all of a sudden now he's team principal Red Bull Racing. It's kind of crazy how quickly the world comes at you, isn't it? And again, Alan Permain, man, I'm gassed for Alan. I'm truly gassed for Alan because he's a proper old school. Been about since I want to even say late 80s, maybe early 90s, when he first got into Formula One at Enstone. Spent his entire time at that one team through the Benetton guys and all that. And now he's got the big job at Racing Bull. So I'm happy for Alan. I am truly happy for Alan Permain. Right, I think honestly, I think right now we've kind of covered it. So let's go through some supers. And then we'll just kind of chat, I guess. Just shoot about this crazy breaking news. Thank you, Joshua. Surely this means Max to Mercedes is inevitable. Does it mean that? I don't think it necessarily means that it's inevitable. I think there's a few different ways you can look at this. You can look at this as, you can look at it that way and be like, right, Max is probably going to go. We need to, like I've said time and time again, we need to make sure this 26 car has an operating window that can't only be driven in by Max, but also outside of that, you need to build the team for a post-Verstappen era, right? So perhaps that is the logic. Or, Joshua, it could be that this is, right, Jos has already said, he's made his feelings clear about Christian and that he shouldn't be in that position anymore. He's no longer in that position. Is this part of, the board at Red Bull being like, look, we need to hold on to Max. We need to show him that we are serious about him. And if that means letting Christian go and being like, look, we're going to build this team. we're going to do this differently, we're going to make sure this and that doesn't happen, blah, 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 right? There's so much, obviously, that goes on in the back end that we do not see. So perhaps, I think you can equally see it from both perspectives, Joshua. Honestly, this to me, this news in isolation doesn't tell me too much about the future of, I'll just put that on the screen, about the future of Max at the team. In my opinion, anyway. I don't know, maybe correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation, so it remains to be seen. Thank you, Devin, for the super chat. Does this mean that Max is staying and they ditched Horner to appease his camp, or that Max is confirmed behind the doors to be leaving and it was the final straw for Horner at Red Bull? Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of answered your question, Devin, in Joshua's. I think you could easily look at it equally from both point of views. So, yeah, to me, this doesn't tell me anything. It will be interesting to see when we go to Spa, when Max is inevitably asked about this, what his... I don't think we'll get much from Max. I think he'll be a pretty close shop. But it will be interesting to see if he says anything. I'm interested to see if we hear anything from like Helmut as well, because Helmut does speak a lot. He speaks to Service TV. He gives a lot of quotes, which, you know, sometimes gets him caught out. He's quite an open book, his Helmut. So that's who I'll be interested to hear from in particular on this, because you feel like Helmut will say things, but how much will he say? Oh, this is fascinating. This is honestly fascinating, because again, it's not even just team principal, it's CEO. Christian was CEO and team principal of that team. Laurent Mekies is now CEO, and I guess I'm assuming that he will take that team principal role as well. I imagine it will be a like-for-like swap, because I guess that's how the structure at Red Bull Racing is set up, around having that shared TP CEO role. Thank you for the super chat. Will Horner try to find sponsors and money to bring his 12th team, or work for a 12th team? Well, obviously, Otmar's been talking about a 12th team, bringing a 12th team to the grid. To be honest, I think this news, I've got no reason to believe this didn't literally, probably Christian found out like yesterday, late yesterday, if not first thing this morning. So he's probably still in a state of shock, I reckon. Like, I can't imagine that Christian's thought much about his future. We can obviously speculate as what might happen down the line. And again, his links to Ferrari and pressure being on Fred, perhaps that's a thing. But yeah, I definitely don't see Christian making a snap judgment to jump to another team or do something quickly. I see him taking, and to be honest, there's probably some gardening leave in this as well, right? We see this all the time with technical members of staff. They'll move team and then they have to take gardening leave for 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, to stop them basically taking secrets from their team to another team. You're always going to get a degree of that, but it minimises the impact of that. I'm sure there will be some kind of gardening leave clause, because obviously Christian knows everything about that team. So there'll be some kind of gardening leave, I imagine, built in there. So again, I don't think there'll be a rush for anyone to move. Thank you, CHINWAG. Now somebody sack Helmut. I mean, look, I think Helmut is obviously very much aligned, again, with the Austrian side of the business, with Verstappen's camp. I don't think Helmut's going anywhere. I think he's, and again, I think he could be a good source of information in the coming weeks, because again, he makes a lot of comments. Does Helmut? So, and that's often all we get. Noah, feel like this is good for Yuki. He's a big supporter. Noah, I appreciate that perspective, and I think this is definitely a situation in which the Yuki perspective, the Liam perspective as well, because Liam's under a lot of pressure. We know Lindblad's been lined up for a long time. Was Christian super into Arvids as a prospect going forwards, or was that not shared with Laurent? Because obviously Laurent's going to have his own perspective on junior drivers, his own opinions. You know, Laurent's come from, remember, Laurent was at the FIA, then he went to Ferrari. Now he's with now he's with Red Bull. He's Red Bull team principal, which is crazy. So yeah, I think this can only help Yuki's cause. I think it can only help Liam's cause. And it will just be, I guess, a fresh perspective over that junior driver program. And you've got talents. We know how good Yuki is. We've seen him. He's got a 100% qualifying rate in Q3 in a Racing Bulls this season, in 3 qualifying sessions, Q3 every single time. 5th in Australia. Like, Liam, he made an impression when he jumped in, a big impression. Like, he merited a seat, absolutely. And yes, it's been a wobble, but also he didn't get pre-season because he was at Red Bull instead of Racing Bulls, and he's on a different side of the garage, blah, blah, blah. Hajar's doing really well. Like, yeah, Mekies is going to have his own opinions and his own perspective, almost from a bit of an external point of view coming in, which I think can only help Yuki's cause, and honestly, Isaac's and Liam's as well. So I say what I say before, you know, I really hope that Red Bull stick with Verstappen, Tsunoda for 26. Stability, fresh car, bigger operating window, actually move forward. That's what I'd like to see. Sauerkraut, thank you. Please buy yourself some bandwidth, Tomo. I've had a word with my internet service provider. I'm moving soon, so I'm maybe gonna change it when we move. Nightmare. Sorry about that, everyone. I do apologise for the terrible drop in and out internet connection. Thank you, Crack what? I think your name is Crackwatch. There we go. YouTube just cut off half your name. Just sending this to help with the internet. Thank you. Oh God, honestly, like, Jesus, it's just annoying. Fitz, thank you. Everyone is expendable. Horner is his own worst enemy. Yeah, I mean, for every top dog, there's someone above them. There's a board. And this performance of the racing team, which is probably the most high profile sporting expense, marketing expense that Red Bull have, even though, you know, the teams are profitable now. Yeah, I think seeing a lot of top people leave, Max be very publicly unhappy with the car, and his dad actively calling for Horner to leave, that second seat continuing to be a problem, then falling down the constructors' order, all of the, you know, the allegations earlier this year against Christian. It's an amalgamation of issues, and it, yeah, whatever the straw is that broke the camel's back, I think, you know, I get it. I do get it. It kind of makes sense. Thank you, Burko, for internet bills. Jesus. Oh, God. This is actually embarrassing. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Matthew. Classic Red Bull didn't even give him to the summer break. Yeah, I mean, we've got this little break now, kind of between this between Silverstone and Spa. So I guess that's the time to do it. You're gonna, and they've announced it, you know, pretty soon after. You know, it's Wednesday now. We obviously just had the race on Sunday. They would have kind of gone away, you know, had their board meetings, had their chats, and come to this conclusion, and boom, right, we need to just get it done soon so that we give as much time as possible before Spa to try and calm things down a bit. But yeah, this is huge news, right? This is huge news, because in terms of longest serving team principal at a single team, is there anyone who served any longer? I don't know. I'm not sure, but he's definitely up there, isn't he? Maybe there's someone from back in the day who served longer as team principal, but I don't know if I don't know. I do not know. Thank you, Ragav. Random, but Tomo, your tweet of predicting Max's pole last week was too cold. Thank you. It was. But I mean, that had Max pole written all over it, that session. It just did. Also, can you make a video on Carlos's bad luck this season? Gets overlooked. Yeah, maybe I will. That could be a good topic. I've got a video that should be coming out later today about the man of the moment, Mr. Hulkenberg, of course. So be sure to like, subscribe, so you know when that one's coming out. It's dropping later today. And yeah, look, Carlos has had a lot of bad luck. It's mad to think whether he would have been, because Red Bull could have signed Carlos. They could have signed him. They chose not to, for whatever reason, whether you think that was Max's camp saying no, whether you think Christian was like, this is going to be too crazy. And again, these kind of driver decisions ultimately sit with Christian as team principal CEO. So yeah, I do wonder if that's maybe played into it as well. Who knows? Thank you, David. Well, Tomo goes to Red Bull 2 weeks later. Do me a favour, Ferrari needs someone to turn their team into an operational masterclass like Red Bull was. So, David, you are backing Christian to Ferrari. I think you've got to give Fred more time. Honestly, I think you've got to give Fred more time. Christian spent a long time at this team and built something. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to now, in a brand new generation, you know, in 26 or 27, go to another team, you know, start from the ground up. He will have learnt a lot, but also he only knows one team. And I think there is a vulnerability in that, in terms of, does that make him able to adapt versus someone who's maybe, you know, stretched their team principal career over 3-4 different teams, right? Or just different organizations that have got experience working with different people, different cultures, different locations. Christian doesn't have that. He only knows Red Bull. And then you have to go back to Arden in junior formulas prior to his time at Red Bull. So I do wonder if that's going to maybe hinder him in terms of his future career ambitions. But you can't argue with the job he's done at Red Bull Racing, like in totality. But also you can definitely argue that maybe now was the right time for something new. Again, with everything that's been the trajectory of the team as of late, you can understand why this move's been made. Thank you, CHINWAG. Ties between Horner and Pierre Vacher need a look. What do you mean need a look? Because obviously Pierre's taken over the technical development side of that team, with Newey having left. And I think, honestly, like the big challenge really now, because Newey's DNA is still on that car. Of course it is, because, you know, he pioneered the ground effect side of things. He had more knowledge than anyone and helped create this car that was absolutely dominant for about 18 months in this ground effect era. 26 is the opportunity for Pierre Vacher and the new technical team, and with a lot of senior, again, Rob Marshall being the most prominent one, not only to lose Rob Marshall, but for him to go to a direct competitor and turn that direct competitor, being McLaren, into the dominant team. That's kind of crazy. So Pierre and the rest of the technical team have an opportunity in 26, as long as Mekies kind of entrusts them with that opportunity still, which they're already working on the car. So it might be a mistake to kind of chuckle them out as well. An opportunity to develop their own car that isn't Newey influenced, that hopefully does have an operating window that can be operated in by, because we know that you can develop a top car that can be driven by more than one person. Like, that is doable, you know, that is very viable, because it basically happens most of the time. Like, you might have even Hamilton Bottas could still out-qualify Lewis 30% of the time. So it wasn't like it was completely one-sided like it's been at Red Bull for far too long now. So yeah, we'll see. I'm very interested to see how the technical team, again with their own engine as well, that's going to make it hard to really judge Red Bull in 26, because I guess you'll have the Racing Bulls running this Red Bull Ford engine as well. So you will have two teams, but because they're kind of so intertwined as teams, it's going to be hard to really, how much of it is the engine being good or not so good? How much of it is the chassis being good or not so good? We'll see. Thank you, Chris. Wasn't Horner a shareholder in the team, or am I remembering it incorrectly? Was he? I mean, the thing is, Chris, he might have been a shareholder. I don't know either. I'm not sure the answer to your question, I'm afraid. And there's a few comments saying was. Regardless, if he was a shareholder, that doesn't mean he would have, he might have had voting power. Let's assume that he was. Then if there's a vote, well, he can still lose the vote, depending on how big his share is ultimately. But I don't reckon it would have been massive if he was a shareholder. I don't know if he was or not. But again, that doesn't guarantee that he's going to win the vote, because there's lots of other shareholders. and they're gonna, if they vote against him and he's, oh, I'll vote for me, but everyone else votes against me. Oh, also, random. Yesterday I was watching the Wimbledon. Tim Henman sounds like Christian Horner. He sounds like a slightly higher pitched version of Christian Horner. Go check it yourself. Yeah, he legit does. Thank you, Bryce Sherman. Apparently Brundle messaged him and he said he doesn't know why he was sacked. According to, is that confirmed? I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, again, he's probably, I'm sure he's only just found out, like not within like 24 hours. So I don't think he will probably have much to say, because he will just be kind of, again, a bit shocked by it all. Because, look, as much as there are murmurings, it does feel like, you know, when someone's been in place for so long and he only knows that team and that team only know him, obviously since they changed from Jaguar to Rebel Racing, they've completely changed that facility. It's grown massively. It's like a totally new team. And so, yeah, that must be quite, I mean, it's going to take a lot for Christian to process. So again, I don't think he's going to be thinking about his future anytime soon. Thank you, Didier. Does this mean we soon get news who's in the second Merc? Again, I kind of said that before. For me, this doesn't clearly indicate anything for Max's future, because you can equally look at it as, right, they're trying to change things to appease and make Max's camp happy so that he stays, or they know Max is leaving and they're just preparing for a future without Max. Like, it's 50-50 for me. So I don't think that really tells us anything, in my opinion. Moonlight, Toto was bluffing with Max to create chaos in Red Bull. Well, you know what? If he was, he's done a bloody good job. Just, I mean, yeah, it's kind of mad. It's kind of mad. It's kind of mad how this is all played out, isn't it? BC, will Christian now manage Spice Girls revival? Ouch. Yeah, God. I don't know what to say to that, to be honest, BC. I don't know what to say to that. Oliver, Horner managing Lewis at Ferrari and Toto managing Max at Mercedes. How the tables could turn. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, Oliver. Don't thank the internet service provider, which has been letting me down today, but thank you. Horner managing Lewis at Ferrari. That just... I don't see Horner at Ferrari. Honestly, how old's Christian? Let's just I just want to see, because he is still like one of the youngest. Although there's been such a turnover of team principals. 51 is Christian. Honestly, I would, if I was Christian, I'd probably say that, you know, he's got an amazing legacy at Rebel Racing. He's won all these world titles. What, 8? 4 with Seb, 4 with Max. Just have some time off. Enjoy the gardening leave that they've probably given you. And then, I don't know, be like a pundit or something. I reckon Christian could be a good pundit, right? I know he'd be very Marmite, but you kind of want that from a pundit. You don't want a pundit that's very like safe and, oh, I want everyone to like me. Like Christian would actually be, I think, a great pundit. So that's what I think. Honestly, that's probably what, if I had to put money on it now, I wouldn't put much on it, but I'd say Christian, you know, have some time off and then be a pundit. I don't think you need to take on a project. Don't go Ferrari. Ferrari's just too chaotic. I can't see Christian and Ferrari working. I just couldn't see it. I can't picture the dream, you know. Thank you, Jonathan. Have you seen Christian's Wikipedia page? I have not. I did briefly looked on Google to see that he was 51. But I imagine people are having fun changing his Wikipedia page right now, because that's what always happens when big news drops. So I'm sure it'll be different when I look at it. I'm not going to look at it just in case there's something not so nice on there. Thank you, Noah. Red Bull crappy wind tunnel is their biggest issue. Yeah, the Cold War wind tunnel. The thing is, though, Noah, obviously that bad wind tunnel wasn't an issue for them for so long. I think part of the problem is now McLaren have got their own. Aston Martin are now getting their own online. Everyone else has been able to upgrade theirs or have new ones, and Red Bull have kind of been left in the lurch a bit. So they are working on a new wind tunnel, but I believe they are. I'm pretty sure they are, aren't they? And yeah, time will tell. That should help. That should help. But also, you know, Newey was still able to create this amazing ground effect car and get it right with the, you know, hamstrung wind tunnel. So I don't think it is an issue, definitely, Noah. Do I think it's their biggest issue? It's like death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it? I think there's been various smaller issues that have maybe amalgamated and become and resulted, I guess, in the team being where they are now. Tweet from Eric. Has Eric tweeted? Okay, let me have a look. Let me see if Eric's tweeted. Problem is I can't. So on the Telegraph, I can't see because it's like you it's paywalled, so I can't actually see on the Telegraph. What has Van Haren said? Eric Van Haren, who's like the journo I saw break this first. What if Mekies is only taking over the CEO part? Perhaps Dragon. I don't. Who else are there? Like at this late notice in the middle of the season, at least to steady the ship till the end of the year. Surely it's Laurent in the TP and CEO role. Surely. I mean, he was, you know, TP role at Racing Bulls. Even though Peter Bayer was CEO, you know, I think it's going to be a like-for-like switch. I'd be surprised if it isn't. BC, start right now. Thank you very much. It's a banger. It is a certified banger. Certified banger. James, Brundle to Sky. No information was given to Horner as to why he was released. So he wasn't given a kind of exit interview as such. It was just like, bye. Yeah, I mean, isn't that, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that kind of the norm? Like, not in a normal workplace, but in these kind of positions, you get fired. Like, say with football managers, for example, they get dropped. Like, do they always expect for or get? Do they get like, right, we're dropping you because you didn't do this? Usually it's performance goals, isn't it, as well? That's what. Because the thing is, right? Maybe there's clauses built in where, you know, if the team is here in the constructors, if drivers are here in the drivers' championship, blah blah blah, maybe that factors in. We don't know what's at play with the contracts. Even if there aren't clauses like that, though, I mean, if the board want you out, the board want you out. You know, so it kind of is what it is. Right, let me have a little look through live chat. Any other little bits of information or any little questions you've got? A few of you think Max to Mercedes. So I make a little poll. I'll do a little poll. Does this make Max to Mercedes more likely? Yes. No difference, or less likely. In your mind, does it make the chance of Max Verstappen going to Mercedes more likely, less likely, or because for me it's neutral. I don't see any clear. Oh, it makes sense one way or the other. You know, I still think it kind of levels the playing field somewhat. Otmar, get Otmar in, bring Otmar back. Honestly, that would be jokes. That would be. That would be. You know what? Actually, you know. I saw at what was it at when I went to Red Bull at Monaco. I saw Marcin Bukowski in the Red Bull Energy Station. What a throwback that is. What a throwback that is. we know Jos doesn't like Horner. I feel like as though Verstappen was going to walk if Horner didn't go. Again, I'm sure there were reports a couple of weeks ago. I remember seeing them, but I don't remember the source. And it was alluding to the idea that, like, basically the Verstappen camp want, which we kind of knew already. We knew that, Jos didn't want Horner in position. We knew that things were getting a bit untenable, and it's like, oh, cool. Like, if Red Bull lose Horner and Max, like, who's the bigger loss? Because you look at Christian's track records and you look at how he's built that team from nothing, and you think that's a big loss. But at the same time, it comes to a point where there is a right time to move on. I'd say the same about, Bernie, right? Bernie Ecclestone served his purpose to Formula One and created what F1 is today, right? I know Liberty have taken it on to another level, but where the sport was when Bernie came in to where it was when he left was hugely more profitable, more eyes on it, and all that. But also he had a lot of old-fashioned ideas that no longer really had a place because it wasn't conducive. He was like, we just want rich people who can afford Rolexes watching. Like, we're not interested in the younger generation, blah, blah, blah. Which was a very short-sighted, old-fashioned approach that has been proven to be wrong now because F1's absolutely thriving. And yeah, it was his time to go. He probably should have gone a little bit sooner than he actually did. And Christian now has done an amazing job with this team to build it to where it is. But now with all of this turmoil as of late, it probably is the time to go, It probably is the time to go now. But time will tell. Bring back the V10s. Bring back the V10. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for where this sport is going. I am concerned. We're hearing a lot of the drivers speak very unfavourably about the 2026 cars. Lance, Charles have both been quite critical of it. But we've got to try and be optimistic because the sport's in such a good place, and we're enjoying it at the minute. We've got a title scrap between teammates, which is good fun. It would be nice if there were more teams up there fighting with the McLaren boys, but as long as we've got a fight, that's the main thing. I do worry that these 26. I mean, that's besides that's outside the scope of this live stream. So yeah, time. Williams to go to? No, he's not going to go Williams. James Vowles is doing a great job at Williams. James Vowles is doing a superb job at Williams. But yeah, look, it is what it is. It is what it is. Christian has been dropped by Red Bull Racing. I've got not too much more to say. I think I've said kind of my piece. We'll see how this affects Yuki. Hopefully in a good way for him. Hopefully Laurent Mekies jumping in can steady the ship somewhat. Look, I don't think this is going to massively change how this season goes, but this is all about 26 and onwards. And clearly the board decided that, whether it was they really thought Mekies was a good person to put in, or whether it's just like we need to get Christian out and Mekies makes sense to go in, I don't know. I feel like probably the prior. Probably they felt more like we need to kind of get Christian out here. Oh, wait, the latter. And then, of course, Alain Permain comes in at Racing Bulls. So happy for him because he absolutely deserves a big shot like this. The poll that I've got going, 2,500 view votes, so thank you very much for voting in the poll. Does this make Max to Mercedes more likely? 50% of you think yes, this decision to drop Christian Horner makes Max to Mercedes more likely to happen. Very interesting. 23% of you agree with me, think I can't see a clear one way or the other. And 27% of you think this makes Max to Mercedes less likely because it's appeasing the Max camp and you can say we'll get rid of Christian, blah, blah, blah. The truth, we don't know. We can only speculate. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. Thank Thank you, Shadow Fox, for the super chat as well. Yeah, Helmut Marko is, he doesn't sound like he's going anywhere. It doesn't sound like he's going anywhere, and we're going to probably see some quotes from him on service, because that's typically what happens after there's big news. Helmut will drop some information, like he often does, but there's no indication that Helmut's going anywhere. So yeah, that's kind of the situation is what it is, isn't it? Big news. Thank you everyone for joining the live stream. Apologies for the connection issues early on. I'll give you some shout outs in the live chat. Thank you, Grant, Jim, Adaptive Fox, Fenetron, Reboot, Naz, Rick, Music, Phantom, Harry, Max, Patrick, I'm Haz, Tiago, Louis, Rayner, Shrithank, Francine, Christopher, Scrub, Joshua, Tommy, Ben, Fenetron, Liberty, Christopher, Outbreaker, Freya, Alex, Calvin, Mr. Frenzy, Riley, Ben, Uma, Avarice, Callan, and the rest of you. Don't forget to drop a like on the stream. Comment underneath as well. If you got to the end, comment the word golf, because I won this recently. It's really cool, isn't it? PlayStation controller with golf on it. Shout out golf. And that's a wrap. Appreciate you all taking the time. Subscribe to Tommo on YouTube. My name is Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.